Forget everything you think you know about celestial mechanics. What astronomers recorded in the last few hours doesn't just challenge our understanding of space, it shatters it. This wasn't a drift. It wasn't a calculation error. And it certainly wasn't a natural correction. It was a maneuver. An interstellar visitor, known as 3I Atlas, is currently screaming through our solar system at extraordinary speeds. But at 2:13 a.m. Universal Time Coordinated, it did something no rock should be able to do.
It turned. Sharp. Instantaneous.
Mathematically precise. Deep within the raw data stream of the Atacama Large Millimeter Array in Chile, the impossible appeared, a trajectory line that simply bent. Not a curve governed by gravity, but a sharp deviation of 17.4 degrees. Within minutes, confirmation flooded in from Europe and the United States.
Multiple continents. Multiple instruments.
One terrifyingly consistent result. An object traveling at 68 kilometers per second had executed a lateral turn in the vacuum of deep space. There was no nearby planet to pull it.
No collision.
No massive outgassing of vapor. At 2:21 a.m., red warning banners flashed across internal monitoring systems. Velocity anomaly detected. Everything we thought we understood no longer applied. For months, 3I Atlas was the perfect specimen. It was fast, far too fast to be from our neighborhood, but it was predictable. Hubble mapped its reflectivity, the James Webb Telescope tracked its thermal signature. Its trajectory suggested a silent journey from the direction of Lyra, drifting between stars for eons. Until the silence started. 19 minutes before the turn, 3I Atlas went radio silent in the hydrogen line band. Then, at exactly 2:13 and 7 seconds Universal Time Coordinated, its velocity vector rotated. To change direction that sharply at that speed requires lateral acceleration exceeding 1,500 meters per second squared. That is over 100 times Earth's gravity. No known cometary process can survive that. No known physics can explain it. The mystery then deepened into something clearly intentional. The object's brightness didn't explode, it smoothed out, increasing by 12%. Its profile became angular, refined, geometry replacing the randomness of space debris. And then came the pulses. Short bursts in millimeter wave frequencies.
Not static. Not noise. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11.
Prime numbers. In control rooms from Pasadena to Brussels, the air went cold. Mathematics isn't a natural accident.
It's a signature.
At Caltech, they ran 10 million simulations. The probability that gravity alone caused this? Less than 1 in 10 trillion. 36 hours after the first maneuver, 3I Atlas adjusted course again. A smaller correction, 3.1 degrees, but the direction was surgical. It aligned with the plane of Earth's orbit. Its velocity increased with no flare, no debris, and no outgassing. Just pure acceleration. As it crossed the orbital path of Mars, it didn't react to the planet. It had already accounted for it. High-resolution images caught a 12-meter fragment detaching from the main body. It drifted for 43 minutes, and then in the blink of an eye, it vanished.
Not faded. Gone.
Science demands restraint, but it also demands honesty. The honest truth is that we are watching an object from the stars demonstrate total control. 3I Atlas is moving beyond Mars now, back into the dark, leaving us with a haunting sustained emission on the hydrogen line. A final note that says, I am here. But as 3I Atlas cleared the Martian orbital plane, the nature of the event shifted from a local anomaly to a global paradigm shift. It was no longer just about where the object was going, it was about what it was doing to the space around it. At 4 o'clock Universal Time Coordinated, the Deep Space Network began picking up a low-frequency hum that seemed to resonate through the very fabric of the solar system's magnetic field. This wasn't just a signal, it was an interaction. Data from the Parker Solar Probe, positioned millions of miles away, showed a sudden, localized calming of the solar wind in a direct line between the Sun and 3I Atlas. It was as if the object were carving a vacuum, a highway of absolute stillness, through the chaotic particles of our star.
Then, the event gamma began.
For the first time, the object's surface didn't just change in brightness, it began to reorganize. New radar telemetry from the Goldstone Observatory suggests that the outer shell of 3I Atlas, previously thought to be carbonaceous rock, was actually a fluid-state lattice. In the high-resolution reconstruction, the rock appeared to flow like mercury, forming geometric ridges and deep, shadowed recesses that looked less like a comet and more like a heat sink. As the structure shifted, the temperature readings defied the laws of thermodynamics. While one side of the object remained at near absolute zero, the newly formed vents spiked to over 600 Kelvin. Yet, there was no infrared glow. The heat wasn't being radiated, it was being recycled. Back on Earth, the silence in the scientific community was broken by a leaked memo from the Secure World Foundation. The document contained a single terrifying phrase: technosignature confirmed. The prime number pulses had stopped, replaced by a complex, multi-layered transmission.
It wasn't a message for us. It was a handshake protocol.
3I Atlas was pinging the outer planets. As it passed the 1.6 astronomical unit mark, the moons of Jupiter, specifically Europa and Ganymede, experienced brief, intense bursts of seismic activity. There was no gravitational reason for this. It was as if 3I Atlas were scanning them, using a form of deep penetrating tomography that moved through solid ice and rock as if they were glass. The most chilling detail, however, came from the decommissioned satellites currently drifting in the graveyard orbit of Earth. These dead pieces of metal, some silent for decades, momentarily surged with power. Their ancient circuits flickered to life for 3 seconds, transmitting a single string of binary code before burning out forever.
The code, when translated, wasn't a word. It was a coordinate.
The coordinate didn't point to Earth.
It didn't point to the Sun.
It pointed to the Oort cloud, the frozen shell of debris at the very edge of our solar system. 3I Atlas isn't just passing through. It is waking something up. As it accelerates toward the Jovian system, its velocity has now climbed to 85 kilometers per second. It is no longer following a ballistic trajectory. It is tacking against the solar magnetic field, using the Sun's own energy to catapult itself deeper into our territory. We are no longer observing a visitor, we are observing an architect. Every movement, every pulse, every thermal spike is a calculated step in a process we are only beginning to perceive. The question is no longer what it is. The question is, who is it talking to? As 3I Atlas crossed the threshold into the realm of the gas giants, the architectural phase of its journey intensified. The scientific community, now operating under a veil of classified emergency protocols, watched as the object did something that defied every law of inertia we hold sacred. It began to decelerate. But it didn't use retro-rockets. It didn't flip its orientation. Instead, the space immediately surrounding 3I Atlas began to warp. The stars visible behind the object in high-resolution feeds began to smear into Einstein rings, a phenomenon known as gravitational lensing. For this to happen naturally, the object would need the mass of a small star. 3I Atlas was barely half a mile long. The only conclusion left on the table was one that shattered the foundations of modern physics. 3I Atlas was manipulating a localized distortion field. It wasn't moving through space, it was moving space itself. As it approached the Jovian shadow, the pulse sequences returned, but they had evolved. They were no longer prime numbers. They were now broadcasting complex, three-dimensional topographical maps in the 21-centimeter line. These weren't maps of Jupiter or Mars. They were maps of the voids, the great empty spaces between galactic filaments. At 1842 Universal Time Coordinated, as 3I Atlas dipped
every run, thousands of them. Different seeds, different inputs, same end. The path refuses to budge. Probability of a natural deflection? Less than 1 in 10.
Into the intense radiation belts of Jupiter, something truly impossible occurred. The massive planet's magnetosphere, a force so powerful it usually shreds anything in its path, didn't crush the object. It fed it. The sensors on the Juno probe, still orbiting the gas giant, recorded a massive energy transfer. A visible arc of blue-white plasma connected the north pole of Jupiter to the trailing edge of 3I Atlas. The object was refueling, siphoning gigawatts of electromagnetic energy directly from the planet's core. For 12 minutes, the Great Red Spot, a storm that has raged for centuries, vibrated with a harmonic frequency that could be detected as far away as the lunar surface. Then came the division. The fragment that had vanished weeks ago near Mars reappeared. But it wasn't alone. 6 identical units, each a perfect blackened octahedron, materialized in a synchronized formation around 3I Atlas. They didn't emerge from the interior. They didn't fly in from the dark. They simply thresholded into existence. These 7 objects began to spin in a nested configuration, creating a geometric engine that began to glow with a terrifying cold light. The spectrum of this light didn't match any element on the periodic table. It was a negative spectrum, absorbing light from the surrounding space rather than emitting it. On Earth, the panic in the shadows reached a breaking point. Strategic command centers in Cheyenne Mountain and the Urals detected a massive gravitational wave, a ripple in spacetime, originating from the Jovian system. This wave was so precise that it triggered a synchronized reset of every atomic clock on the planet. For 1/1000th of a second, time on Earth stood still. The 3I Atlas engine was now fully active. It began to transmit a final high-bandwidth burst directed specifically at the Kuiper belt. In response, long-range infrared surveys picked up something they had missed for decades. Deep in the frozen outskirts of our system, thousands of cold spots began to warm up. Symmetrical objects, buried for millions of years in the ice of dwarf planets, were responding to the call. 3I Atlas wasn't just a navigator. It was a key. It didn't come here to see us. It came here to activate the infrastructure that was already here, waiting in the dark since before the first human walked upright. The silent stations of the solar system are waking up, and 3I Atlas is leading the choir. As the object prepares to leave the Jovian system, its next destination is clear. It is heading for the empty point, the Lagrange point between our Sun and the galactic center. If it reaches that coordinate and triggers another maneuver, the solar system won't just be a place in space anymore. It will be a node in a network. The sky is no longer a ceiling. It is a door. And something has just turned the handle. The implications of what we are witnessing are staggering. If 3I Atlas is indeed a key, then we are no longer just observers of the cosmos. We are occupants of a house that is suddenly being opened by its true owners. The data streaming from the Jovian system continues to defy every textbook ever written. As the silent stations in the Kuiper belt continue to flicker into life, one thing has become certain: the history of our solar system is not what we were taught. We are standing on the edge of a new era, watching as a galactic network, dormant for millions of years, prepares for its next phase. What happens when 3I Atlas reaches the empty point? What will it find waiting in the Oort cloud? And more importantly, what does this mean for the future of humanity? These are the questions we are dedicated to answering. Here at Cosmic Enigma, we are tracking every pulse, every maneuver, and every anomaly in real time. The story of 3I Atlas is evolving faster than the mainstream news can keep up with, and we are committed to bringing you the raw data and the hidden truths that others refuse to speak about. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and witness the unraveling of the greatest mystery in human history, you need to be part of this journey with us. Don't let the sky go silent again. Subscribe to Cosmic Enigma right now and hit the notification bell. By joining our community, you ensure that you won't miss a single update as we follow 3I Atlas deeper into the unknown. Share this video with those who aren't afraid to look at the stars and see something more than just light. The empty point is only days away, and the signals are getting stronger. We are analyzing a new set of telemetry data as we speak, and what we found in the latest hydrogen line burst will change everything. Thank you for watching, and stay vigilant. The message is in the motion. We'll see you in the next video.